48 hours in advance. On May 24, 2018, notice was mailed to the Courier Post and the Aldea. Notice was also posted on a bulletin board located by the reception desk at the central office and all school building bulletin boards within the district.
When I call your name, please say present. Mrs. Teresa Atwood. Miss Catherine Blackshear.
Here.
Mr. Jose Vito Bueno. Ms. Taisha Munir. Mr. Wasim Muhammad.
Present.
Mr. Nam Nelson.
Present.
Mrs. Felicia Reyes Morton. Mrs. Martha Wilson. We do not have a quorum. We do not have a quorum. 4 members are present.
Wow. So what does that mean? No, that's cool. That's cool. You don't have one since we stand and conduct a meeting, but you can hear from the public portion of.
So what we will, thank you, there's no yelling from the public, but what we will do is we'll have a, we will call this a committee meeting.
Right.
We will go through the public portion of the meeting, but there will be no closed session.
Thank you.
Is that good? Thank you.
We're not getting off to a good start for our school year, folks.
We have one correction. Mrs. Felicia Reyes Morton has resigned her position as a board member.
So at this time, we will transition down to the floor for the superintendent's report. All right, good evening, everyone. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your patience as we're transitioning in and as we're moving forward with our superintendent's report. We are glad to be here this evening. And before we begin with the official superintendent's report, I'd like us to take a brief moment of silence. Over the past couple of weeks, we lost a few CCSD employees, one being Officer Willie Smith, who is a longtime security officer and also a close family friend of mine. Also, Ms. Carmen Perez, Family Operations Coordinator at Dudley School. And this individual hasn't worked in the district for a while, but many of you may know her. Dr. Marion Prophet, who was one of the pioneers in our district, passed away as well. She was a central administrator and did great things to move the vision for this district in the past. So let's just take a quick moment of silence out of respect for them. Thank you. All right, there's a bit of a delay with the clicker. So if you see me clicking, I'm not having fun with it. There is a delay there. These things happen. And so I want to just, again, welcome everyone to this evening's board meeting. I am honored to serve in the capacity as acting superintendent. Just so that everyone is very clear on where I stand and what in my role here, I was appointed by the Commissioner and the State Board of Education on June 28th. And I am very honored to fulfill this 1-year contract that I have been given. So in this position that I'm in currently, I was given a 1-year contract. And there will be a national search per the Commissioner that will be launched, the details of which will be revealed once they are made known. And at that time, I will, of course, in order to do whatever I can to continue to serve the district, apply for that position. But again, when that is made public, you will definitely be aware of that. So in the interim and in the meantime, we know we have to continue to do the work that needs to be done so that we are ready for our students on the first day of school, which is coming very quickly, and we've been working very hard this summer, not only with the transition, but also with ensuring that we are ready on day one for our students. So again, my vision for this year and for every year that I've been in this district is to ensure that we're doing everything that we possibly can as a team to ensure that our students are graduating from the district equipped to be successful in college, in their career, whatever it is that they choose to do. And we know that begins very early at the pre-K grade level. So I want to take a minute just to kind of step back to let you know what I've been spending my time doing over the past month and a half and share a little bit with you about my 90-day transition plan. So we are completing internal and external listening tours, of which have been publicized on the website, so this may not be new news to many of you. But these listening tours were the opportunity for me to really have a chance to listen and learn from various sectors of the community as we begin to think about what needs to be included in our strategic plan. I wanted to be very inclusive and collaborative in that effort. And so in addition to listening tours, we also included feedback surveys that were available on the website and also at our listening tour sessions so that people could give their feedback to a variety of survey questions. Over 400 people have attended our 15 community and stakeholder meetings so far. We had about 500 people complete online and paper surveys to share their views. And so we are very thankful to those individuals who came out from the community to be able to share what they believe is important as we think about what needs to happen to move our district forward. This feedback will inform the strategic plan, which will be launched at the next board meeting. So in our September board meeting, the strategic plan will be launched, and then this feedback and information that has been collected will be incorporated into that strategic plan. The plan will offer short and longer term goals to deliver for our students, schools, and district. These goals are based on three main priorities. So the three areas that I truly believe are integral in us being sure that we move our students forward are the following. One, accelerating reading and math achievement. We know that if our students are not able to master those skills that are needed for reading and math, that they will continue to lag behind. So we have made gains, and we want to accelerate the pace at which we're making those gains so that our students, in comparison to their peers across the state, are not behind, but exceed far above them. And so each year, more students are growing, but again, our proficiency rate still lags behind. Without more rapid growth, we won't close the achievement gap. Our students are more than capable, so we need to think differently about how we can best support them and what we can do to ensure that they are enthused, excited, ready for instruction, but that we're delivering quality education and quality curriculum to them. Second area, make sure there are great teachers in every classroom. The second area is to make sure there are great teachers in every classroom. And this is very critical because we know we can't do the first, which is accelerating reading and math achievement, unless we do have great instructors in each and every one of our classrooms. And so the focus on staff morale with meaningful training and new supports is very critical. We must continue to recruit and retain the best teachers so that they want to be and remain a part of our district, and it's not a revolving door situation. And then we want to make sure under this area that we continue investing in our school leaders through coaching and PD and all of the wonderful work that's been going on, that we just continue to go deeper and ensure that the results are in alignment with what we are intending. And so the third area of focus there is a district that puts students first. And so how we serve our staff and schools makes a difference. And again, I'll underscore the word serve. Each and every one of us is a servant in the work that we do. And so how we serve our district and how we serve our students and our families is very, very critical and important. So we need to make sure, and we will make sure, that our administrative teams are focused on serving students first. That means that we as adults, we know we will be uncomfortable, right? That's okay. It's about putting our comfort zone aside and doing what we need to ensure our students are getting the best education. We will also find ways to be more responsive to school-based staff, community partners, and parents. Responsiveness is very critical, and that's an element of service. So if we're serving, we want to make sure we have an attitude. We want to make sure we roll out the red carpet. We want to make sure our parents, our community members know and understand that we want them engaged. We need you to be engaged, and we need you to be a part of what this district will move forward to be and to become. And so this means building a culture of excellent customer service. And I think that underscores everything that was said about transforming our district supports to put students first. So those three areas are not the only areas that we will focus on as priorities, but they are the central core areas that are necessary and important for us to ensure that we meet in order to make sure that everything else falls into place. And again, we look forward to that strategic plan being a compilation of everything that we have heard. And so some of the feedback then that we have heard from the Listen and Learn Tour, and this is not by any means exhaustive, but it's just to provide you with a little bit of what I heard from those 500 individuals on those tours that I had the opportunity to participate in, because it was really a true dialogue. And so we engage staff through, I already shared that, online surveys, but here's a summary of the key findings, and you can see them there. More parent engagement and help from parents to master the current curriculum, to help our students to be able to master the curriculum. So what is it that our parents need? What are the supports that they need? This was shared with us from parents, and also from community members who want to be able to support our parents as we work together to ensure that they are engaged in a vital and integral part of our students' education. Diverse teacher recruitment was another area that came up again, and it's not something new. We've heard this previously, but there was a specific call for more bilingual and Black male educators, and that this is, again, a consistent theme that we have heard. So that will be built into our strategic plan. We are working in that area, but it will be specifically also built into the plan. Some parents wanted to make sure all district schools had equal access to classroom technology and resources. So again, ensuring that we are providing equitable opportunities for our students across all of our schools. Many community leaders offer to mentor, support, and donate to our schools. And we need to find more ways, and this was the voice of those community leaders and those 501c3 leaders who are in our city, that they want to just be able to find more ways to connect to the district so that the services that they offer and the great mentoring programs that they have are able to get to our students. And we're able to really have some great partnerships to continue to deepen and grow to ensure our students are getting a holistic education and an educational experience. With our citywide population now attending a mix of district, charter, and Renaissance schools, there was a lot of discussion around seeking out ways for students to come together and participate in enrichment activities outside of school. So one of the Listen and Learn sessions that had parents who had children in Renaissance district and tradition and also charter schools, they wanted to have opportunities where students come together across the city. So more opportunities for citywide sports, where regardless of whether or not I go to a traditional school, a Renaissance school, or a charter school, I'm still able to feel like I'm part of the Camden community and that we are on the same team. Another great idea, and we're going to look into it, was to bring back the All-City Performing Arts program, where students can come together across the city and, again, put a wonderful production together. We know we had pockets of that, but there was a call for wanting that to happen, so we will take a look at that as well. Finally, we heard the desire for more and more relevant CTE pathways. So again, continuing to refine our CTE pathways. We know there's a lot of work that's been done, and we know we have a plan through our Perkins grant to continue that work. So again, there was a call to ensure that that work moves forward and is completed. So those are just some of the areas. Again, as I said, that's not exhausted, but at the end of September at the board meeting, when we share the overall strategic plan, you'll have a better idea of some of the other areas, but these were the prevailing themes that came up in our meetings. So we are optimistic. I'm very optimistic because these themes definitely echo some of the same priorities and the same desires and research and thoughts on what we already know is important for improving our schools. And so we are looking forward to incorporating, again, this feedback and getting your input, your critique, your suggestions, your thoughts as we move forward. So, first day of school readiness. So again, we are excited. School is right around the corner. Students are happy. I've had a chance to visit a number of backpack giveaways, and we know that there are many more that are coming up. So every student in our city should have a backpack. There should be no reason that they don't start off at least with a backpack, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that they know people are coming together and want to make sure that they are equipped and prepared to be successful as they move forward. So we are looking forward to the first day of school, so I'll just give a few quick highlights on what has been happening in our buildings. So we've had a summer full of paraprofessional and teacher hiring events in the area of staffing. And so as a result, we have been able to hire 50 plus new teachers, and we are very, very excited about that number. We have hired over 71 teachers for the 2018-2019 school year. Again, and this is a theme that comes up each and every year, our aim is 0 vacancies. So that is what our aim is. It's 0 vacancies. Having a teacher in every classroom. Again, back to those other bullets, having a great teacher in every classroom. But in reality, we contend with last-minute retirements, hard-to-fill positions in science, math, bilingual, and special education. That's not an excuse, it's just an obstacle. And if I'm not very transparent with you about the obstacles, then you're gonna get a lopsided view. So we have had great hiring events, we've onboarded some great teachers into the district, we've cut our vacancy rates down, but even as of today, I got a resignation. So again, we're working very diligently to keep up with that pace. And we will continue to keep you updated on a monthly basis as to what those rates look like. Substitutes. So we're also talking about vacancies that stem from leaves of absence in some areas that we can't. So we know if we have leaves of absence, we can't fill the position. So we've got to hold the position, and there have to be substitutes placed in those positions. So we've heard from so many families about their anxiety and their just anxiousness around feeling that there's a substitute teacher in the classroom on the first day of school. I remember my oldest daughter, who's entering her senior year in high school, her kindergarten year, she entered was a sub. And I was very, very, very upset, as many of you probably would be as well. But I had the opportunity to meet the sub. So I had the opportunity to kind of look at her credentials and have a conversation. So I knew that my child entering into kindergarten, at least I had a connection with the sub so we could work together until the teacher came off maternity leave, because that's why she was out. And so our parents, I know all of us as parents feel the same way. So what we're trying to do this year is to prepare our substitutes in a very different way. Where necessary, we are requesting subs for positions that are still vacant or not filled because of a leave of absence. We have invested a great deal of support and resources this year into offering long-term subs and any substitutes in our district at the start of in our buildings at the start of the year, proper training on school culture, expectations, and support to ensure students have a great learning environment from day one. So that just looks like we are trying to bring our subs on earlier so they can be a part of the early PD sessions, classroom setups, so they're not coming in on the first day of school with students, but they're able to come in, get to know the building, get to have some PD, get acclimated a little bit, meet parents, so that when students come in, at least there is something that's being done. Is that a fix, a cure-all? Absolutely not, but it's trying to figure out creative ways to work around common problems and solutions that we've that we continue to have. So we're looking forward to reporting back to you on how that process, that plan, actually worked out. And so with regard to technology, this summer the tech team has been preparing for a successful year of learning. All of our K-5 classrooms have at least 5 desktops that are working. Each high school ELA and math class has at least 5 desktops in each classroom that are working. Additional smart boards have been installed and repaired, and that's across the district. So new copiers also have been installed to deliver secure and efficient teacher printing. And then finally, in the area of technology, just to highlight, it's not extensive, but this is one more highlight. For our summit learning programs at BRIM and BPLA, all students will have one-to-one laptop devices for use. So each and every student will have their own laptop, so they're able to implement the summit learning program without any disruptions with regard to having shared technology or anything in that area. So we are very excited about the progress. That does not mean that we don't continue to look at our technology and ensure that we're maintaining it so that we make sure that it's working. So we know we got to continuously monitor and continuously check, and our tech team is working on planning how they're going to do that. And so, Facilities, we know, is a big area that we want to make sure that our students feel loved, that they feel valued, that they feel that we care about them. And what better way than to have them enter into buildings that are clean, that are vibrant, that have fresh coats of paint on the wall, where we're doing everything we possibly can to be able to show them that in action and not in word only. And so we want to say a big thank you to our facilities team. Today, 95% of our classrooms are student ready across the district. And we have 1 week to go. So that is an accomplishment, but it's not the end of the story. So 95% of our classrooms are student ready, but what we've done is prioritize the classroom spaces because that's where our students spend the most time, and we are working on still completing our common areas. So our cafeterias, our media centers, our auditorium, we're working on ensuring that they are 100% ready. This building was used for summer programming. We had summer programming here and in Caddo. So the timeline for cleaning this building had to be pushed back. So even in this building, there's been lots of progress made, but over the next week, there are teams that are in place that will continue to ensure that we are 100% ready as we move forward. But right now, as a pulse check, we're doing okay. We just want to make sure that we finish and get that other 5% of classrooms ready and get our common areas in place. And so, in addition, we've made some big improvements to some specific high needs facilities areas. So the transitional and accelerated school at Mickle was overhauled from top to bottom, and in a minute I'll be able to show you a few images there. At Sharp School, we replaced floors, and that's in progress in a number of our classrooms at Sharp School. At Woodrow Wilson High School, the auto body shop equipment upgrade has been upgraded to get the shop up and running after it moved from Camden High, which was a huge undertaking and took lots of collaboration and a job well done just to the teams working together to make sure that that happened. Cream School, right in the bottom right-hand corner, major repairs and investments in the walls and plumbing after the burst pipe situation that we had last year where our students had to be relocated to the North Camden site. They are going to be back. They are moved into their own building now, and we're looking forward to them being able to start off right in their communities. No busing, none of that, and I know our parents will be grateful, and we have done what we need to to shore up the foundation so that we won't have another flood again, and that is our hope, and that's what we've been working toward. So those are just some basic highlights for facilities, and we know there are many other projects that need to still be undertaken, and we will be looking at innovative ways to get those done. And moving right along, and we are almost there for this portion, first day of school readiness. When we think about the buildings being clean, we have to think about also what substances or toxins or chemicals do we expose our staff members and children to, even who are around, as our schools are being cleaned. So this project is something that this pilot program is very important. The Green Cleaning for Infection Prevention pilot program is being implemented in schools across the district, including right here at HB Wilson. So the program eliminates toxic chemicals from the cleaning supplies custodial teams use, like stripper and bleach. Our new green cleaning program puts into place a hospital-grade, low-toxicity infection prevention system that includes the use of microfiber mops and eliminates the use of mop buckets that we have to, push the dirty water around after the first ring of the mop. In the end, this program offers a cleaner and healthier learning environment for both students and staff. So again, we're looking at this pilot program and we hope to learn a lot from it, and if it is something that is successful, we want to continue to implement it in other schools in our building, in our district. So summer programming. I mentioned before that we had great summer programming this year. It was very much focused on inclusion. Our bilingual special ed and gen ed peers were able to come together at Caddo and at HB Wilson in order to have a great, rich, robust summer program. The K-8 program served an average of 270 students every day across 2 sites, including, again, special ed and bilingual. The high school accelerated and credit recovery program served about 220 students. The magnet schools hosted programs. There were bridge programs at our magnet schools that served nearly 100 students. And in addition, we had partner programs, and I was able to walk through several of them, and they were very impressive in 2 schools that served about 200 students. So in total, about 800 students on average, and we know students come in and out during the summer because there are vacations and other things that are going on in their families. And so on average, we had about 800 students who came into and out of our summer programs this year. And so we're excited to learn from our programs and see how we can continue to improve them and also create greater and also more opportunities for partnership to expose our students to as much as we possibly can during the summer months to combat summer slide. And so I want to take this opportunity to bring up and introduce to you, this person has been in the district already, Dr. Taryn Fletcher, who is transitioning into our role as Deputy Superintendent, the role that I held overseeing academics in our district. She's going to come up and share a little bit with you. Dr. Fletcher is an experienced principal, special education educator, bilingual educator, and most recently Chief School Support Officer. She spent the last couple of years in our district and earned her doctorate in culturally responsive teaching. She's committed to our curriculum refinement, coaching, PD, evaluation systems, and just doing whatever possible to ensure that our students are prepared. So right now I'm going to turn this portion over to Dr. Fletcher just to provide some academic updates, then I'll come up and close out, and we'll get ready to go on stage to honor and respect our retirees.
Just want to start by recognizing our school leaders for this school year. At the top, we have our newest appointed school leaders, Ms. Rahman, who is at Forest Hill. Yes, we've seen her lead in the park. Ms. Robinson, who is at UTLA Middle School. Yes. And Ms. Casella, who was the former lead educator of Coopers Point and is now the principal of Coopers. And so something else to recognize is that all of our leaders are listed here, and what I most recognize is there's not a lot of movement. We see a lot of consecutive leaders who can continue to provide continuity of care for our children, and we're very excited about the year for them. They have really been working hard all summer. There's been a 2-week leadership training that has happened at the end of the school year, and then also again in August. Our high school leaders have engaged in retreats that were very intensive and very engrossed in the work in high school, and specifically what that looks like as it is implemented throughout the school year. So we're very excited for what's to come. Okay. So specifically, and just updates around gifted and talented, which we will make sure we update regularly, is that our pilot locations are still HB and Caddo. Students were tested in the spring and summer, so we have students who are already assigned to our gifted and talented programs. They will happen in the 3rd through 5th grade. And what's really exciting about the program, it is going to have a lot of engagement with teaching and learning and the opportunities for students to lead learning. And there's also in this pilot an opportunity for culturally responsive teaching practices to be clearly embedded in the work that we do with our gifted and talented children of color. So very excited about the format. It'll be a 45-minute daily instructional program that also allows the teacher who will lead the gifted and talented work at each school to have flexibility to also push in to classrooms throughout the day. So there's an opportunity for even more learning outside of the 45 minutes where they'll be pulled out. Our alternative programs. So we have 2 alternative program sites. We have SOAR Academy at Woodrow Wilson High School and Camden Pride Academy at Mickle. They're fully staffed. Really excited about the fact that there are social workers, case managers, fully staffed with teachers, and those who are fully staffed in that building are also looking at how they can engage students to have programming that is highly specific and tailored to their needs. At this level, and really all of education today, we really are always looking at how the individual child is tapped in and engaged in our learning, and so there's a huge opportunity to tap into that and in our alternative programs as well. Just something else to share, just want to make sure I share all of our notes. This alternative program provides CCSD the opportunity to solely manage both of those programs and to really have a staffing structure that supports the needs of our students. And course offerings, again, will be highly specialized to include social and emotional supports as well. And here's some K-8 and high school updates. So we're continuing to push through with growth and iReady. And so specifically, we closed out the year in math for our K-8 program with nearly 1/3 of our students achieving on grade level performance. And that, just to tell you, is on average 67% of our students who were in tier 3 have demonstrated enough growth to move out of that tier and into another level. So the idea is that if we continue at that pace, we will definitely be having more on grade level readers as we continue, so that in high school they're off to a very good start. In reading, 54% of our tier 3 students moved out of tier 3, demonstrating that they had sufficient growth to move out of their placement level and into another one. Also, on grade level reading performance for grades 1 through 8 more than tripled by the end of the school year. In relationship to technology, Cooper's Point and Kramer will have a 1-to-1 pilot for their 5th grade. So specifically in 5th grade, we're looking for them to experience a 1-to-1 piloting opportunity to have a one-to-one device with them for the entire year, which really supports some of the initiatives that are happening in the high school as well. In high schools working on a $90,000 planning grant for college and career readiness. And what this will do is offer more opportunities to offer diverse experiences and exposures in preparation for college and career. That also is aligned to their advising corps, where more guidance counselors will be available in schools directly supporting college and career readiness. And for Summit Learning, I think we've already heard that there's a lot of great things happening with Summit Learning, but it continues to expand at BPLA. And high school leaders this summer participated in math-specific content and Summit trainings that will really have them ready and prepared for students and the framework that Summit Learning offers. Thank you.
Dr. Fletcher, for those academic updates, and we will continue to provide updates throughout the school year, bringing various members also of our teams that are closely linked to the work, and also we're hoping to be able to include the principal voice as well, and bring students to a board meeting so we can hear from them as to what their academic experience is like. So we're trying to think about different ways to provide you with updates that are meaningful, that are authentic, and that are going to really get to the heart of what our students are learning. And so, as we take a look at another highlight, some of our district highlights, we're proud to announce that Brim received a bronze level certification from Sustainable Schools, New Jersey. And that is awesome. Yes, bronze level certification for Sustainable Schools, New Jersey. This was a year-long process, and it represented a great deal of work from staff at the school and around the district. Brim is the first Kansas City School District school to receive this certification ever. So we're very excited and proud of the teams that work together to make sure that this happens, the school leaders, the ops managers, everyone working together. And the certification gives Brim opportunities to save money in energy, water, and garbage bills. The program improves efficiency, cuts waste, and frees up money for the classroom. So participating schools also have access to special grant opportunities. We're working with Caddo and other schools to follow suit. So again, we are happy and excited that Brim is leading the way, and we're looking forward. There are some surprises that I can't tell you about because I don't want to jinx it, but some great things are gonna happen that are gonna highlight the great work that was done at Brim School, and we look forward to sharing that with you. It's good stuff too. Really, really good. All right, and so finally, I know I've said that a few times, finally, cleanup day. So we are excited. Dr. Fletcher talked about alternative education programs and the work that has been done to date, along with our high school team, along with our student support services, just everyone, all hands on deck, as we moved our alternative education programs into the district. So again, no longer contracting with Camelot, but running those programs ourselves so that we can have a better pulse on what's happening in our classrooms and ensure that the teachers in those buildings have the tools that they need to help our students succeed. So one of the things we wanted to do was to do something special for our alternative education site at the Mickle building, which is our Pride Academy. So that when students enter the first day, they know that we as a community, mayor, staff members, central office members, administrators, community members, my mom was there, everybody's like family members were there, you know, cleaning up. Because for me, it's personal, right? And I won't digress, but my mom went to Mickle, my aunts went to Mickle, then I went to Mickle. My first teaching assignment in kindergarten was at Mickle. So I'm like, I'm back at Mickle, but this time we were cleaning up some of those same rooms and painting, and it was awesome. We had volunteers from American Water. Again, Mayor Moran, his team were there, getting their hands dirty, rolling up the sleeves. Staff members from central office, the leaders at at the school, Dr. Akbana and Mr. Taylor, Mr. Bell, just our Chief Strategy Officer, Mr. Bell, moving the work forward. It was just really, really exciting to see it all come together. And so many volunteers came out to give Mickle and the Hatch buildings some extra TLC as we move forward. And those are not the only buildings, I'm just highlighting that, but the more that we work together to do the best that we can with what we have until we get more and until we're able to fully renovate, it makes a huge difference for our students. So again, we're so grateful to everyone who helped our Pride Academy and also our Camden High School students to know that when they walk in the first day of school, that we work together to do something special to show them that we care. And we're going to transition back on stage, and at that time, we will honor our retirees. Thank you for your attention.
Can you? The Camden City School District and school staff would like to congratulate on the years of service. 3 of our now former employees here, Ms. Cheryl Lucas, elementary teacher for 25 years of service. Ms. Zenaida Ortiz, bilingual teacher, 23 years of service. And Josephina Soto, health and social services coordinator, 25 years of service. On behalf of the Advisory Board of Education in the Camden City School District, we like to wish them and give them the highest honor of service to our community and wish them the best of luck. Thank you.
At this time, if there are any questions, at this time, if there are any questions and comments, yes, from the advisory board members, we'll take those at this time.
I just wanted to know, in your package, is Wiggins College Preparatory Math Family School, are they going to the Philadelphia Zoo? Or are they going to the New Jersey State Museum?
That's a great question. Let me follow up with my team that handles that. So we'll get the details of that and make sure that we get that for you.
My other question is, on some of the trips, we had the cost of a school nurse. Is the nurse there because of they've got a special needs student that might need assistance on that trip? Okay.
Yes, and there may be some students who have asthma or other issues, health-related issues, yes. All right, if there are no other questions from the advisory board members, I'm going to turn the meeting back over to our general counsel at this time, Ms. Kim Beelen, for the public I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Madam Superintendent.
That's okay.
President. I just want to acknowledge that our young people here in the community of Camden are on the fresh start of a new school year, and I know my feelings are adamant with most of the people on this board, but we want the families to get more engaged, and we would like to have our children prepared to represent our community and to continue to encourage the greatness here in the city of Camden. I just want to quote something from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about education. Education is a guide for people to maintain a civilized life. Thank you.
At this time, we'll turn it over to our general counsel, Ms. Kim Beelen, for the public comments portion.
Thank you. So now it's your turn. The Camden City School District welcomes the attendance and comments from all members of the public at its meetings. This public comment period is your time to be heard on the agenda items in this meeting. Each person who signed up to comment will have 3 minutes. And we have quite a list here, so we're going to ask you to stick to the 3 minutes, please, so that everyone has a chance. You'll be notified when your 3 minutes are up. You cannot yield your time to another person. When it is your turn to speak, please remain at the podium and address all of your comments to the board president or the superintendent. Please conduct yourself in a respectful and courteous manner. For anyone whose comments or actions either harass, intimidate, or threaten the safety of any person, we will provide you with a warning or immediately end your comment time. Also, if you curse, use vulgar language, or make personal attacks, we will provide you with a warning or end your comment time. We will not interrupt you during your 3 minutes of comments. Members of the audience should also not interrupt the speaker at the podium. If you have any questions, please ask your questions during the 3 minutes. After the public comment period is closed, the superintendent or her designee will address your questions to the extent provided by law. So at this time, Londa Coles.
My issues and concerns is regarding bullying. And I believe that if I was able to work with the individual, I think it's Ms. Drennan, that I've been trying to contact regarding coming on board with her regarding the bullying issues. When I hear the different stories from parents and the students that go through this, they complain about they don't have enough trust and faith and belief in the school to help them when they make a complaint. They feel as though that they say they have bullying programs, everybody say they talk, they do a lot of talking, but nobody's doing anything. I've reached out to Mr. Bell, Ms. Sorby, and Ms. Drennan, because I understand she's the bullying coordinator, and I haven't heard anything from anyone. Bullying is a concern to me. Bullying is not a political issue, it's not a psychological issue, it is an emotional issue. And in order to get to the core root of the problem, you have to address it on a consistent basis. I want to be a part of addressing this on a consistent basis because it appears to me, based on the studies, over 500 school districts in the state of New Jersey alone, bullying is the #1 issue, and it hurts my heart. I want to get to the core root of the problem. A psychiatrist is not going to solve it. A therapist is not going to solve it. They go to family services and things of that nature. I did a book called Book of Realities, Keeping It Real, that's in the works. Bullying was one of the things I wrote about. When the publicists read it, they thought that maybe I had a part in the 13 Reasons Why series that was on, because I basically wrote out in 2014 what bullying is. I analyzed it. I call myself going into the mind of a person that bullies, and it just hurts me. If something was really being done about bullying, the statistics would not be where they are at. It's a very important issue. It needs to be addressed on a consistent basis, not when something happens. Everybody say, as a bully, you know what you did. Okay, you know what they did, but is anybody really taking the time out, having a humble heart, and caring enough, and loving these kids to find out the core root of the issues regarding bullying? I want to be a part of getting to the core root. No, I didn't go to college to get a degree, but when you have that insight and that knowledge of it, why should you be ignored and pass by? I've reached out to people in the school board, the New Jersey State Board of Education, Miss Christine. The only thing she told me, we have an anti-bullying legislator. I told her this is not a political issue. This is an emotional issue that needs to be addressed. Once you address bullying,
Ma'am, your time is up. Your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have something I'd like to pass out after this.
Testing.
Okay, got it, thank you. Okay, our next public speaker is Gary, and I'm so sorry, Frazier, Gary Frazier.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So I guess I want to start off with New Jersey 1887A-461 Capital Projects Control Board. So yesterday, a number of us went to City Council yesterday, and we noticed a few things in the resolution. And so, in any school district under full state intervention created pursuant to provisions of PL 1975, C212, C18A-71, lawyer, I'm sure you're familiar with this law. So, there may be established a Capital Projects Control Board. So, our first question is, who proposed the establishment of the Capital Projects Control Board, and what is its purpose?
The superintendent answers questions after.
What capital projects does the Camden City School District have with the mayor's appointment of Carmen Otero to the Camden School District Capital Projects Control Board? What advice and consent will you be providing, Ms. Blackshear, to the Camden School District's Capital Projects Control Board? I already asked you what was the purpose of the formulation of this board. What school bonds or notes or lease purchase agreements has the school district entered into with the city? New Jersey S 18A 20-4.2 calls for the bond for the board's responsibility for the certification to the state district superintendent, Ms. Combs, which you are not completely, you are acting as intern, correct? Okay. Acting, okay. So, as I said before, for the certification to the state district superintendent of schools and the commissioner of the necessity for the capital projects and the appropriations to be made by the governing body of the municipality, which capital projects are we speaking of? Again, and how can a board be formed without a certified superintendent? Your board requires 5 voting members. Who are they? Who did the commissioner of education give or appoint? That's 1 vote he gets. Who is the chief executive officer? That's 2 appointees. Is that Frankie? Who is that? I need those answers. We seek as advocates of education in Camden a community oversight board to show transparency as well as provide a complete overview or layout of all current and future projects, future capital facilities projects the Camden School District intends to have or move forward with in the future. And finally, I would ask that this governing body start to look at our students and start to teach them about our environment. Teach them about renewable, sustainable energy, as well as the purposes of rain barrels and raised bed gardens, so that they can start to understand the means of controlling their own productions in their neighborhoods.
Mr. Frazier, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope I got those answers down, because I hope I want those answers.
Stan White,
Thank you.
you're next.
Camden resident, Chambers Avenue. Excuse me, board, because I'm going to try to jump around. I only got 3 minutes, correct? Okay, public portion. I'm concerned that we just almost put a minority vendor out of business. And I told some board members, community members, that I need more clarification. Ms. McCombs, you have 2 people up there on the stage, and I hope to get an audience with you that is not friendly not friendly to the community at all. It was a dictate, and it's their word. But Stan White didn't let them do it to me. So I'm reporting it to the board, and I'm reporting it to Ms. McCombs tonight. Moon bounces. That's the jump thing that all community, anybody in this community goes to them, get donations. Every community group asks this man for donations. And we have two people sitting up there, made their decision, didn't let him know, didn't know he was connected to me, just for using him for community service. Didn't even give him an audience that I intercepted. You talk about being unfriendly. They were so cold and so, well, your time's up, or we over. Well, we wasn't satisfied with it, Ms. Combs. So we asked them, what could he do to keep the contract? Long as I know, long as I've been a community outreach specialist for this board, that was a celebration for our kids at their graduation, their fun day. And we just took it away because never gave us a reason except insurance. Blamed it on the broker. Well, do the district work for the broker or does he work for the district? I'd like to know that because that was the final answer. The broker said no. Ms. McCombs, every vendor coming to a city, $1 million insurance they have to have. The deal with broker, you come back with a $5 million and we'll give it to you. He did that. I think they never thought a minority could go out and get a $5 million insurance policy. He got it to him the next day. Miss McCombs wasn't over yet. The drama continues. They put into the principal's package, irregardless of what we did last year, we are canceling it, even though you went out and paid for a $5 million policy. I just left the city's funding, Youth Day, 900 to 1,000 kids. Miss McCombs, they had moon bounces all over.
Mr. White?
The charter schools are doing moon bounces. He's getting more money from the charter schools than us.
Mr. White, your time is
So,
up.
okay, my time's up. Can I ask Ms. McCombs to sit with me, have a board member present, have those two individuals that I will not identify tonight meet with me, add a board member, like I said, quicker than quick.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
She will respond.
And I'm sorry, there was other issues. Sorry, Ms. McCombs.
All right. Vida Neal? Vida, I apologize.
Not Puerto Rican, I'm black.
Wonderful. So am I.
I would like to say to Ms. McCombs, welcome. I'm proud to see a sister, and I'm proud to see all the sisters next to you. But let the circus change up from last year. We don't want what we went through last year. Now, my summer has been about work for the St. Kansas City School District. All summer since Ms. McCombs, before she even got in, she was doing things, changing things up. But the jury's still out on you, my sister, still out on you. But I'm telling you, we want to work side by side with the new board, not an advisory board. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that our lawsuit that we filed, and we won, to give back the community democracy. We will have a school board election this November. So all you people that have been sitting up there with your mouth closed, don't open it now. No question session, don't open it now. It's too late. We want people who are responsible, who know education, and who can decide for our children. We don't want political cronies up there, okay? So it's going to be a new day in town. Now, I'd like to say to the new board president, my last thing I had with you, you was on TV giving our kids away to Governor Christie. I'm going to give you these kids, Governor Christie. I don't want you giving away any more children. We want the expansion of our public schools. We want Camden High brought back to what it was. That program that's over there now, where are the STEM programs? STEM, math, science. Where is the STEM programs? Engineering. That list over there is getting our kids ready for a job and family here again saying he has, he gonna say, Ms. White, you said I had to go to the board meeting. Yes, you have to go. I told you to your face, I'm telling you to the board. That is not a charter school over there. These kids have a 3-checkpoint station. They gotta do everything but get out on their knees and say a prayer before they can go to school. And if they don't have the proper uniforms and stuff, he's not gonna let them into school. And that's going to be a problem. When our children, we have no kind of security or no kind of people that go around and pick them up off the streets. Truancy. He is not going to let our children roam the streets this year.
Ms. Neal,
And that
Ms.
is
Neal, we cannot talk about a staff member.
Excuse me, ma'am?
You're not allowed to talk about a staff member.
I ain't. So who can I take
That's
my
not in
grievance to
public.
with a staff member?
You should have.
Can you show me the rules on that?
You should make an
Can
appointment.
you show me the rules
I
on
certainly
that?
can.
Is
You
it
can
board
make an
policy,
appointment.
ma'am?
It is.
Huh?
It is. Thank you so much for your time.
If you excuse me, you're talking, first of all, you're talking on my 3 minutes. So you're not going to cut me off because you talk about 20 seconds on my 3 minutes.
You can have your
Okay,
20
so
seconds,
now
but you
you are
cannot
done.
talk about a
I'm going
staff
to continue.
member.
I'm going to see you need to be broke in. First of all, when a community person is speaking and they're not done, I need a sidebar. Somebody needs to iron out my grievances. Because I do what you don't do. I go into the schools to make things right for our children. I volunteer. I don't get a check from nobody. So you can sit up there and be the attorney all you want. But at the end of the day, when the kids leave, they're not down and you're not.
Thank you.
See, when you talk
Miss
about my
Lorraine
time, you know
Miller,
what?
Miss Lorraine Miller, you're next.
I'm reclaiming my time on you, sister.
I gave
If
you
not
additional
today,
20 seconds.
I'm reclaiming my time. You don't like it?
Lorraine Miller.
Tell me about
Thank
some
you.
more pops.
Good evening.
I am really happy to see the positive press that I've seen in the newspaper. Keep it up. That's how we're going to come back and make a difference. I am aware that Amazon Commission has passed to the full extent, so please make sure your staff has professional development. They have proof in their lesson plans. That's as far as they went. So be on guard. I want everyone to succeed. The next thing, when you were talking just briefly about field trips, I just wanted to share something. When I was on a Zone PTA in Cherry Hill last year, it was decided to be more equitable in that school district. And what they did is, per grade level, they decided where these children would be going on field trips. And I believe they were able to act upon pricing and everything else. So it's just word put out there. Okay. Another issue I mentioned years ago, it might behoove the change here to have parents involved on different committees to give input, to get this ship sailing in the right direction. And last, I fully hope that once we have a democracy back in place in Camden, then everyone will feel part of the process. And that ship will go and you will excel. And I can't wait to see what happens when Camden outbeats the suburbs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kevin Barfield.
Good evening. First, I would like to ask the superintendent that we definitely change the format in reference to how the public is allowed to ask questions. When you do your presentations, we should be allowed to ask questions. Because a lot of things that rather we want to speak on what you present, or when we do want to report out on something pertaining to the superintendent's report, and then there could be some other issues that are parent-related that doesn't necessarily be what we see or hear on the report. So I'm asking again that, because again, that will cut down on a lot of the individuals speaking beyond their time frame, because we try to say so much in a little bit of amount of time. The other part I like is that you answer our questions instead of waiting until later, because part of it is that a lot of our questions are never answered, you know, in the public. Public needs to have a public response to the questions that we're asking. And not to say that it has to go back and forth, but the questions should be done in a timely manner and not at the end where a lot of the questions are never asked. One of the things that my concern is, just sitting here listening, is the fact that when you talk about a listening tour, as a parent, as a parent leader over 2 district committees, I wasn't informed at all. So I'm trying to figure out how you have 15 meetings during the summertime, you have 500 people, and how was the parents notified about these particular meetings? That's another breakdown in communication. The fact that you had it in the summertime, we know most of the parents are, you know, dealing with, you know, their summer issues or whatever. You know, how's that? And then you're going to come up with a strategic plan. My concern again is that last time we did a strategic plan, it was through an alternative group, which I only want to bring them back into the conversation, Parents for Great School. And then when I see a flyer in the community, I'm seeing that they're sponsoring this particular listening tour event. So to me, it goes back to like business as usual in reference to our prior superintendent. The other part is in reference to the Capital Improvement Board, that my concern is the fact that hearing that at a city council meeting, and I'm like, what kind of jurisdiction did they have over, you know, nominating individuals to a board that the public doesn't even know nothing about. So that's another one. In reference to what you were saying, in reference to this school year, and I'm happy and I'm always hopeful when the school year starts, my concern is always, it's one thing to hear something, it's one thing to see something in writing, but it's what's actually happening in our schools. And a lot of times before I, as a parent, get to know something, it's in September. And just like last year, you have a back to school night where you have a principal that has everybody going into a cafeteria. So how do parents get to know what's going on inside of their classrooms? What do we have, whether it's technology or textbooks, when we don't have access to that? One thing I would suggest and I would like to be a part of is the first day of school, when y'all do y'all tour as a board, then me as a parent and maybe some of the community people who might want to do, we get to go and see what's going on in these schools. So then that way we can also say, yes, we have the technology that you say that we have, that we have the textbooks that we say you have, and we have the staffing that you say we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Brown?
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, Superintendent McCombs. I just want to note something that happened during the summer that I hope is helpful. So this summer, I was looking for summer camps for my children, and this being the 3rd year doing so, all over the city, Camden Enrollment on their website published a list of all the summer camps that they were aware of. And so I kind of went through, made calls, checked out websites, sometimes visited places. And Ethan, my oldest son, he ended up right here at HB Wilson for the summer program, which was an enrichment program, which was academic lessons in the morning and activities in the afternoon. There were options of what he could choose from. He told me he wasn't going to do dance, but he ended up doing dance, which, if he dances anything like me, he needs as many lessons as he can. And then my youngest son was at ECDC, which is also where he'll go to kindergarten at the catapult program. I know that, and when I said that the research is because there is still a stigma on the district of, well, there's district schools, but there's Renaissance, and there's charter, and there's private, and there's outside in the suburbs. And I think I'm a pretty good researcher. I think I understand education as well as one can as a parent. And so the fact that I sent my son here at the district school, I think is a compliment to the district staff that designed the program that I loved on day one just as much. I loved on the last day just as much as I did the first day. Other than that, I can only be me in this part. I was able to talk about this briefly last night at the city council meeting, and it's just a few things I heard previous speakers say. I don't fully understand the background of how the names got to city council yesterday. I know they took no action, but I do have to say that this is a tool that apparently state superintendents can use. Newark used it in the past. Somebody correct me on the stage, out of a $330 million budget, the Camden taxpayers contribute $7 million to it. Out of the $330 million budget, the Camden taxpayers, out of paying property taxes, contribute $7 million to it. So in most school districts, voters vote on the school budget just as they vote for school board members, but not in a district that's under state takeover. So that's one of the things that's unique about Camden, which also means that somehow if there needs to be money outside of the operating budget, which the state has a tremendous amount of control over, being able to vote on capital projects, which could be a football field in addition to a school, any multi-million-dollar project, it's a tool that can be used. So I am hoping that the process continues, that people are appointed, that 5 people are there, and I'm sure there'll be presentations and public meetings to discuss what will be voted on. But this district needs new stuff, and this is a pathway to get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Cornell Garnett.
Yeah, I just got 2 quick questions. What is strategic plan be put on the internet so the public can review it before the next meeting? And where are the parents going to park at on Cooper Street for the schools when they come to drop off their kids, since there's no more parking on Cooper Street no more? The meters are taken off, the yellow lines is paper curved and all that. It's already congested up there as it is. So now that they can't park, where they go? Is there a parking lot going to be built, a parking garage? And what are we going to do about the congestion at ECDC all the time with that parking? I also would like to know the advice that the mayor is giving Ms. Blackshear for this new board that's been created out of nowhere. Specifically, why did they pick her?
Sarah Jocelyn?
I was very glad to hear about the progress being made in reading and math. I would like to see the numbers. I'd like to see those park scores. Has to be released by the district, did not get them before tonight's meeting, and when you put those park scores out, please include the Renaissance schools, because of course those are also Camden City schools. I want to have that comparison up front so I don't have to do different research. I also am asking about the status of the libraries this year. Will they be offering the opportunity for children to borrow books and take them home? We now have the new QSAC, and by the way, I'm looking forward to seeing the QSAC results from the spring audit as soon as possible. But the QSAC includes libraries now. I'd like to know what is being done to make it so that children can take books home and use them. Having worked this summer in a volunteer literacy program, I know that children are not necessarily recognizing sight words. Sight words are something that need to be reinforced in the classroom, at home, all the time, because people will stumble on what they're reading if they don't have that sight word basics. And having worked with children that were 9s and 10s that do not know sight words, that's an issue. I do want to also, and having books that circulate is important, and kids go to their schools. They don't always have access to the 2 county libraries that are in this city. I had a question about a couple of the resolutions. Resolution number 46 on page 98 is this name change to Pride Academy. I'm confused about whether there's any issue with Camden Pride, which is very similar. Are they identical? Are they different? Are we going to have confusion about that? I'm hoping that there will be maps that are made available of all the schools in the city this year. I didn't see them last year, which will identify every school building in the city. Also on number 31, resolution 31, page, I guess it's page 90. This resolution is a closure of a TD Bank account. There's no mention what this account was used for or the amount of money that was in there. I think that's something that should at least be addressed. Very proud that we have our first Sustainable New Jersey for Schools candidate. Look forward to additional schools. I know that Caddo was working towards it. I believe Cooper Point was. I'm hoping other schools will. Have we gotten our fire department inspections so that our schools are ready to be open? I know one of the issues in the listening session that I went to was concerned about fire inspection in the school that had not been done since, I believe, 2015. I hope that that gets taken care of so that we have both our up-to-date emergency plans and our inspections up to date.
Ms. Jocelyn, your time is up.
Thank you.
Rasha Dickerson?
Hello everyone, how you doing? Good to see your faces. All right, Rasha Dickerson, parent in Camden. So I had a few questions I wanted to ask before I got into a conversation. With the schools being ready for September on the first day, usually by the end of the school year, we close schools based on it not being proper air conditioning inside the schools because some of the schools don't have air conditioning. So I'm concerned for the first day of school, the first week of school, the first 2 weeks of school, because you know September's pretty hot. Then we will run into that problem again. So what is our alternative to that? Because I don't think kids should be missing, students, not kids, should be missing education time based on negligence from buildings. I brought it up before with the superintendent about recruiting more nurses of color. It's a need in our community. I just want to bring it to the board's attention that we do need to recruit more nurses of color. We're lacking people of color in the medical departments inside of our schools. And our children need to see themselves in those spaces and also have a level of, what do we call, sensitivity training in those spaces too. I'll just leave that there. Repurposing the buildings in the community. I've seen that we started doing some of that. Shout out to some folks who have received those buildings, but there's also a push to reestablish a 6th to 8th grade junior high school component in Camden as we merge all the schools to one campus. There's going to be a lot of empty buildings. I say it every time. I know I sound redundant, but I have to do it because it's public conversation. I want to make sure that those buildings that are going to be vacant, it all goes in that direction. I'm just being proactive now, that we start establishing and looking at criteria and curriculum to what a 6th to 8th grade junior high school look like again in Camden. So we can start having those type of academies for our that component of youth that we're losing for enrollment right now. We want to make sure we pull them back into Camden Public Schools. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Governor Murphy had vetoed a bill that Milton Cruz put on the table back in June, Bill S2722 and A4181. It was vetoed yesterday. And these bills were to expand Renaissance schools in Camden, also expand Camden enrollment in the district. And a few of us went up to, a crew of us, and some of our charter school friends went up to Trenton to the Senate hearing and testified opposing these two bills. And on the Senate table, it still went through, but on the governor's desk, it was vetoed. Now, through the city of Camden, it seems as though there was an issue with city council and the mayor wanting to do a letter of support for that. And I want to bring this up because there's two things that happened that really disturbed me. It's very problematic. One was in June when we were there at the meeting, there was a crew of us from the Camden Public School sector that was opposed to it. Then there was one parent that was for it. And when we looked around the room and looked at who the district's communication person was that was there, they supported the person who was for it. And that didn't feel right to the community. If we're gonna talk about equity, if we're gonna talk about equality in the school district, then people have to hear the voices of all the people. When we walked in that room, we saw what happened. There was a communications person, and I won't name drop because I don't want you to get upset. I would respect that, but as a person that's still working for the district who sided with the opposing parent, did not give any respect to the people who were there opposing the bill. The other side of it,
your time is up.
I'm gonna just drop this last 30-second key. I know, I just wanna say the last
I have to
thing.
be fair to everybody.
But I just wanna say that the last part
If
is
you could
that,
share your comments with the superintendent, we'd be happy to.
yes, ma'am, I have to say it publicly though. The other part of it is that in this bill that it was vetoed, everyone has to understand that the democracy that happens when city council and the mayor is asking for letters of support, there's no democracy to the people. There was no community forums about what the bills were. There was no board members coming out to the community saying, we know about these bills. This is what we cannot accept anymore. We have to have a better level of, we talk about engagement, it has to be true democracy.
Ms. Dickerson, thank you.
And I just want to make sure that the board understands that when these things happen, that we have to be on top of it more than city council because it pertains to our school district.
Ms. Claudia, I'm sorry, thank you very much. Ms. Claudia Cream, I'm not sure it's Cream, okay.
Good evening. The first thing I want to address, you mentioned, I see it in the talent part, there are 50 new teachers hired. In the past, we were able to ascertain whether or not they held the proper certification. That's no longer listed, so I hope everyone that is hired have the proper certification for whatever area they're hired for. And I would like to see that back in a minute so we know what certification they hold. Along with the new individuals hired, you cannot tell by names anymore. But I hope they reflect the population of the school district since they're being hired in a number of schools. I'm not seeing that as I go around, well, last year in some of the schools. And it's important that we look at those that are within the city, that some Camden City residents are being hired, especially for paraprofessionals, because I know those that are hired from in the city have some urban orientation and they're able to work effectively in our schools and with our children. Along that line, the interview process. Who makes up the interview committee and how are they selected? I would like to know that process, because I'm hearing different versions of interviews that are taking place. The next area is facilities. As I look through the minutes, I see some work orders and maintenance lists. Some are specific for schools, some are not. I know, as Sister Ronsha pointed out, the air conditioning situation, I know that's a problem with Cream School, but I do not see that listed here. Maybe to have that that you've hired will cover all the schools, but I think that should be indicated for each school that has its situation. There's also a situation of the roof leaking or leaking over at Forest Hill. I do not see that here. And at the meetings, I think I mentioned this director for facilities. I think he should give a report on what's needed each school, the work repairs, the progress of those repairs, and then lay out a full capital improvement plan. Because as we look at the new schools that are not public schools, we can see what's being done, but we're not seeing that in the public schools. So that can take place moving forward the school year. I think parents will think that, okay, our children matter also in some of the older schools. The next area, Pride Academy and SOAR. You know, alternative education is my baby, and I see they've changed the names. I don't know if they stand for an acronym, but I would like to know what different programs that they will be having in alternative schools. And is there going to be an emphasis on vocational programs for the alternative schools as well as throughout the district? Because not all of our young people are going to go to college, but we should have a comprehensive vocational program or options and alternatives for those that are not going to college?
Ms. Cream, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amir Khan.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say congratulations again to Ms. McCombs on a new position and the new board members, and it's good to be here. Get ready. Also want to say it was really great to hear all the different accomplishments getting the school ready. Obviously, Ms. McCombs, you started off running hard because a lot's been accomplished, so thank you very much. First, just two recommendations to the board. One, and I know you're new, and sis, you're maybe messing up on some of the names of some real legends here and things like that. You know what might be good? Two things. One suggestion is maybe have a time clock here, because it makes it difficult for you that when you're saying, boom, your time's up. You're a bad guy right from the very beginning. At least if somebody sees 3 minutes countdown, they get to 2 minutes, 30 seconds, they know how to wind it up. It's a little less pressure on you. Then two, I don't fault you just for this, but maybe you should have probably found out from some of the board members maybe ahead of time how to pronounce certain names that are here, because it's kind of like Donald Trump gets up and talks about, 2 Corinthians. And, in the religious community, we heard him say, fake right there, get him out of here. So it might be good to kind of know, especially some of the legends been here for years, and that kind of hurts some things. So anyway, real quick, two things. One, the district uses Millennial Skating Rink quite a bit. Sister Tracy has been doing a great job there for 18 years since the thing was built under the Milan administration. Some of you guys might be aware that she normally has a 5-year contract. This past year, the council has said that they want to come back with a resolution. We've only given her 1-year increments. It's very difficult for her because, you have to do capital improvement, and it's difficult when you have to lay out a couple $100,000. You don't know if you're going to be out of there 13 months, so it'd be really great, especially because she's been operating that place for 18 years, flawless, for the community, doing a great job, and they're trying to put it out for rebid again. It'll be great if we can get a letter of support for Tracy to the city council, since the district uses that skating rink so much, okay? We were at the council meeting last night, and it was kind of letter of support will go a long way. Finally, the last thing will be next Thursday, first day of school, we're having the back to school greeting again this year. This year, I think we're having 7 or 8 different schools will be involved in it. Camden High School, leading off will be Pastor Levi Combs, along with his church, First Refuge, Rising Leaders, Brother Mac, Epiphany Church, over at Woodrow Wilson High School for the back to school greeting, St. John's Church, Pastor Wright, Brother Kevin Waters, Kirk Jones, Butch Ingram, and Pastor Ariel Calderon from 27th Street. Forest Hill will be Sister Roncha Dickerson. H.B. Wilson will be Mount Olive Church and Sister Watkins. And then Pastor Roland Clemens from St. Augustine's Church is adopting Kip Norcross. They'll be doing a greeting back there. Sister Karen Borelli at Brim, and Bishop Barron from Higher Ground at Cooper's Point. So we ask that the board members and those that are here, if you possibly can. Did somebody throw that at me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you guys,
Your time is up.
okay, thank you very much. Hopefully you guys will come out and support next week for the back to school greeting. God bless you.
Dr. Benson.
Good evening, everyone. This has to be like the first time in about 5 years I'm coming down here smiling. Because some guy who's really was sabotaging us is gone. I'm just happy. I'm really so happy that now we're actually able to have new conversations about actually how to make our schools better for all our kids. For those folks who don't know, it really matters a lot to me, as a resident, and my daughter goes to these schools that we're here talking about. So these things really are really deeply personal for me on a variety of different levels. For one thing, more than anything else, I want to extend a hearty and heartfelt thank you to all our Camden residents that have been pushing, and pushing the struggle to try and make sure our residents have their rights and democracy that have been denied us for so long. And I am deeply appreciative of this sort of collective effort. On November 6th, on Election Day, somebody referenced it earlier, there's going to be a question on the ballot that we have to regain our right to vote for our board members. We won't know the exact wording of the question until at the latest September the 14th, and we'll do everything we can to get that question out to the residents. But this is a right that we have to take back. And between now and election day, that's something we're going to continue to push forward toward. Also, that the governor vetoed that bill, which flew through the Senate and through the Assembly. A lot of it, being honest, had to do with Norcross's influence, but the governor vetoed it, and that was a huge deal because that would open up any public school for Renaissance takeover, and it would have forced only Camden parents. It would have singled out only Camden parents out of New Jersey's close to 12 million residents. Only Camden parents would have had to use Camden enrollment. Like, that bill was so messed up on so many different levels, and I felt what I think Vida said. We said that, Roncha said, when someone who was representing our district's communication department was there in support of that bill. And that was horrible. And that was before you, Mr. McCombs. But still, but that sort of stuff is burned in folks' memory. But here's the problem, which I will say between now and the time their contract looks like it's run out in 2019. Camden enrollment is corrupt. In the meeting yesterday, and I applaud this gentleman's honesty for once, I've actually heard it said back to me, that what the community has been saying for all these years, we weren't wrong when we were saying that Camden enrollment stops people from choosing our public schools. We've been hearing it for years, and every time we said it, people would say, that's not happening, let me check on it. But we were told that it was happening yesterday, and I have a witness, I was in the meeting, that a person wanted to choose a Camden public school, but it was not given to them as a choice. And it's happened at a number of our schools. And here's what I know about, for instance, thieves, to use for example. The first time you catch a thief is not the first time that thief is stealing. So the idea that this has happened, when they've been caught one time, multiply that by years. How many kids was this happening to? How many families was this happening to? And finally, someone is aware that, this is truth that we've been saying for all this time. Their contract ends in 2019. Please let them go. They should have nothing to do with our schools. Thank you.
Reverend Levi Combs.
Reverend Levi Combs III, pastor of First Refuge Progressive Baptist Church here in the city of Camden, president of the Pastors and Ministers Conference of Camden County. Let me first say, Mrs. McCombs, I have great confidence in you and your leadership. You're a Combs. So I share that affection in that. So I stand before you. I come to these meetings, but I don't speak unless I feel compelled to as a community leader and a person of faith. But I must say to you today that as I look in this building, that there's a lack of hope in this building. Because I don't know if it's animosity that we feel from this table in terms of it's more checks and balances than there's more dialogue. And I think that the board, and I would give you some pastoral wisdom, and you are a woman of faith as you are my brother, that and in order for us to reach the people and hear the people, we've got to be of the people. I don't care what degrees you have. Your degrees won't get you anywhere if you're not in touch with the people. What we've done, I'm the youngest pastor in this city. I'm 32 years old. I started pastoring in this city at 27. I told Pastor Mack at Little Rock, I'm still the youngest pastor in this city, but I'm the most senior, youngest pastor in this city. And so what we've done in Parkside, Pastor Mack and I, we have adopted the Parkside schools. And in doing that, what we're doing is creating a relationship with our educators and with the parents and with the students, so that they're in an environment and in a culture where they feel that they can come to the church, they can come to the teachers, and the teachers can come to us as well. What my concerns are, specifically as far as Till, is the maintenance and the upkeep in that building. I don't think if you had students enrolled in that school that you would send and allow your kids to eat in that filthy cafeteria. There are leaks. I have the pictures to show you. There are leaks that are in the cafeteria. There's mold. There is dust on the clock, and that didn't happen under Ms. Rothman's watch. Those stains and those lack of priorities in terms of building upkeep. I heard you say you have 95% of the classroom ready, but I guess Forest Hill may be that 5% that we need to really address, because she had to close down 2 classrooms, and it's crucial. Second point, at Forest Hill, the majority of the students are African American, and I know we have that open enrollment thing, but what I see a lack of is African American teachers, in particular male teachers. And we need more male role models, especially in this city. Our black boys need to see black male role models in the classroom, not only for learning purposes, but for disciplinary purposes. When I was a kid, I was terrified of my male teachers. I got over the female teachers because, you know, that's just what boys do, but male teachers have that ability to be stern but still gentle at the same time. And I know my time is up, but I'm a black preacher. So what I will say to you is this. I'm praying for all of you. I will never demean any black queen as a black man. Never, ever. I wasn't raised that way. I will pray for you, and in my prayer for you, I hope that you will reach out to these concerned citizens because they're concerned about their students. And we don't need to have a board of, and parents and community leaders with a whole lot of animosity. We got to change the dialogue in this setting. So it is my prayer that we'll do that, and I hope that you can give me some answers to those questions as Forest Hill gets repainted in that cafeteria and get that dirt and dust out of that building. Thank you.
That was our last speaker, so we'll give Ms. Combs a minute and she will respond to the questions that have been raised.
So thank you, everyone, and thank you for your comments and your questions and for your patience. Okay, so there were several questions. One question that came up from Ms. Coles, if she's still here, Ms. Londa Coles, had to do with bullying programs. You stated that you had some difficulty. You reached out to several people in the district who were responsible for leading the anti-bullying coordinating efforts, and you were not able to get your situations addressed. Thank you for raising that, bringing that to our attention. I will do due diligence to look into what happened and what was the breakdown in communication. I believe you also circulated some information. Is Ms. Cole still here? No, okay. But I'll still, for the public record, just in case she looks at it, I know she circulated some information with her number. We'll get in touch with her. We do agree. I agree that bullying is an issue that needs to be taken very seriously. I think everyone in this room believes that. Our school's anti-bullying coordinators receive trainings, and they do. We have an anti-bullying coordinator in each building. They receive trainings that cover both the HIB legal process and the issues that were raised by Ms. Cole. So we are going to reach out so we can figure out what the breakdown in communication was in her specific situations and work to make sure that we ensure that that's not replicated and we get to the heart of whatever was broken so that our students are able to feel safe. So we will follow up with Ms. Coles directly. Mr. Frazier, you asked, Mr. Frazier right here, yes. You asked a few questions. And one of your main questions had to do with the Capital Facilities Control Board, the information that was shared, even though there was no action at the City Council meeting last night. I want to thank you say a special thank you first to the community members who are very interested in the Capital Projects Control Board. There are 18 district schools, and we are all aware of that are growing in need of major capital improvements and capital investment. We know that the SDA in the traditional form is not able to fund the level of projects that we have in the city, in our 18 traditional public schools, and we cannot utilize district funds, budget funds for capital projects that go above a certain amount. So the Capital Projects Control Board has not yet been established. That's why it should have been pulled, and that's why it was listed as a no action item on the City Council board meeting. There have been no appointments that have been made. There may have been, I don't know what was circulated, but no appointments have been officially made, and it is in the very early stages. So what I want to be very honest with, I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. We are trying to explore innovative plans and innovative plans and innovative strategies and ways to find money. We just need to find money that we can utilize in order to restore our district public schools. So again, I think the cart got before the horse. We are in research of some different opportunities, but nothing can happen with the Capital Facilities Project Board until it has been established, and it has not been established. So I'm happy to talk offline if necessary, but at this point it has not been established. Once we get more firm plans, we will share with the entire board and community so everyone is definitely aware of the next steps that will be taken. Mr. Frazier, you also asked a question that was related to, this is also a follow-up to the capital improvement project. It's too early to share all of the projects that are listed. So I think you wanted an itemized listing of the projects. We are still assessing. I'm sorry.
I asked if we had a community oversight board for a complete layout and overview of any current and moving forward capital facilities projects that may have been created or in the future are being.
Gotcha. Yep, that's a good question, and we can take that into consideration and figure out how to operationalize it, and then move back and share out with the community how you can be a part of the process. Again, we definitely want it to be a collaborative effort, and apologies for any confusion that may have gone out because this came up on a city council meeting agenda yesterday. You also, Mr. Frazier, asked about renewable energy and wanting to make sure that we share and teach and equip our young people with how to make sure that we are providing them with opportunities to learn about sustainable gardening. Rain gardening was one of the examples that you shared. And so renewable and sustainable energy is a part of the science curriculum, and it is introduced in grade 4 specifically, but more basic concepts are shared as themes in earlier grades. And so we want to make sure that we do offer opportunities, again, for partnerships with maybe organizations that may be able to help us to augment the curriculum. So we know that there are some basics that they get, but how do they get more enriching activities? We're open to exploring those, and I know there are several individuals who are operating either 501c3s or have information about how we can engage our students in that area. Mr. White? Yes. Hi, Mr. White. Love you, Mr. White. Hi, Mr. White. We are here, and we have, I really do. Clarification, you asked about several pieces, but the move outs, I know that there have been some conversations around that and our stance as a district to really look at the liability that we have there. So for safety reasons, student safety being most important, we made the decision to not utilize move bounces in our district celebrations of Fun Day. Having taken away those celebration opportunities, we have also suggested a list of alternate fun activities that students can participate in, because what we found was that the district continues to be a high-risk insurance holder. Insurance companies are choosing not to cover us as a result, and we cannot take on the risk of a child getting hurt using these moon bounce devices. Our current policy is $2.8 million a year policy. We cannot afford to take on additional risk at this point. With our budget, our operating budget, our broker will not cover us if we continue to allow this practice. So I know this is very difficult, right? Because when it came before me, I struggled with it as well, because I know that sometimes our students, our young people don't have the opportunity maybe to enjoy a bounce house. But we're hoping that we can also partner with community organizations, and if they are, like the wonderful well-attended event that you alluded to, Mr. White, that occurred recently, if we're able to encourage our families and help to advertise so our students can have the opportunity to not miss the experience, while at the same time trying to be fiscally responsible with the funds that we do have. No, it's not, just know that it's not a desire to take anything away from our children. We're just trying to figure out how to balance providing those fun activities, but when we have insurance expenses that come along with it, we have to just try to figure out how to think creatively. And so the brokers who we're alluding to will be present at the next board meeting, the September board meeting, to take your questions directly. Just in case you have any specific questions that you feel may not have been addressed by our team, that broker has volunteered to come and be available for questions and answers around that decision. And we should...
I appreciate that, but let's not leave out the communication part. I still
Yes.
want to meet with you.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We can still meet, yes.
Oh, and those two staff members, so they not telling you that's not the way I was treated.
We can still meet, absolutely.
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, not a problem. And so we'll also want to just add on to that, we should, that's it. Nope, I already said it. I'm not going to repeat myself. They will be here at the next board meeting, and I will arrange a meeting with you, Mr. White. You can just go through Tanya, that's no problem. So, all right, so my bright idea to use technology in a different way. We'll figure out the glitches. It stalled on me, but it's easier for me to be able to see and have everything organized for you. I want to give the best and most honest responses that I can possibly give you. So the move, okay, already done that. Camden enrollment, okay. No. Okay. There's a question that came up around the number of facilities issues, and we want to also talk about that a little bit. So we're looking into parking concerns at ECDC. I believe a parent was here asking questions about congestion and what we can do with regard to the parking concerns there. A couple of years back, we spent a great deal of money on a calming project for the Forest Hill and ECD area, and it redirected and diverted the traffic differently. It did calm and ease the parking situation, the congestion, but we know we've got to figure out ways to do a better job, because it didn't completely eradicate the congestion, because we just have such a high volume of parents who are dropping off and picking up children there. So again, we will continue to update you and try to find innovative ways to make sure that we are addressing those issues. The Forest Hill roof is another issue that was brought up. It's actually the recipient of a $4 million investment from SDA. It is one of the few projects that the SDA did fund. And so that went along with a project at Kramer Elementary School. And we recognize the huge need for emergency work at Forest Hill. So there is work, there's been an award, there's work that's getting done there. But we also know, based on some of the other comments that were shared, we want to take a closer look at the facility and look at the overall maintenance of that building. HVAC issues like at Cream, Woodrow Wilson, and Cooper's Point are also a high priority, and we're seeking short and long-term solutions to those. And I did share that hopefully we'll be able to find some innovative ways to raise monies so we can fund those capital projects. We will be present on facilities improvements. We will present on facilities improvements regularly at board meetings, so this won't be the last time we have the opportunity to discuss it, and we agree that transparency and sharing that information with parents is very important in building trust and confidence. So we hear that loud and clear, and we'll try to do a better job to figure out how to make sure that not that our intent is really reached the way that we desire it to be. And we are operating in a more transparent way. And so with Camden enrollment, there were some questions or some comments that came up with regard to Camden enrollment. The common enrollment system we have in Camden was designed to benefit families in the city as a way to ensure equity in how families access publicly funded schools in the city. And so we know that we talked about this a lot in the past, that Camden enrollment is a way to help those parents who desire to utilize it to have less barriers to selecting the schools that they would like. In our traditional district public schools, however, we know that our parents can still just walk right up to the neighborhood schools and register. I know Dr. Benson shared some information, and we are in contact and meeting as issues arise where there are breaches with that, and we want to take those in a case-by-case basis to get to the bottom of what's actually happening there with the communication between the staff, the ops staff, or the leader, whatever it is at the building, and what's being communicated to parents. But again, parents can just register. They don't have to utilize the Camden enrollment system, but it is a way also that helps us to have data that's accurate in order to make decisions about staffing as well. So I wanted to share that information regarding Camden enrollment. Diverse recruitment is another thing that came up. As I said in the presentation at the beginning, we heard in the listening tour again and again that our community, our parents, want to see more teachers of color, want to see more teachers that represent our student population, and that's not new. We are working on efforts to ensure that we create more diverse better pipelines so we can get more diverse teachers, healthcare providers into our schools, so we're able to really address that concern, and we are continuously working in that, on that effort. Public reporting, there were some questions that came up around the theme of public reporting. We will share the strategic plan and park results at the September board meeting. So I know Ms. Jocelyn raised a question about the park results, and as we have done in the years previous, we will have the Renaissance schools along with the performance of the district schools, so we can see all of the schools, how all of the students are performing in the city, and be able to draw some comparative data. Continue to do that as we have done, and that full rollout will be at our September board meeting. For the Listen and Learn tour, again, there were some questions about accessibility and knowing when the tour dates were held. It was a pretty difficult, I think Mr. Barfield raised his question, because the appointment wasn't, with the commissioner wasn't until June 28th. I was not able to start and establish a listening and learn tour, even in an acting capacity, which I know I'm in an acting capacity, and I serve with honor even in an acting state superintendent capacity. So we were under like a time crunch because it wasn't approved. I wasn't approved and appointed until June 28th. And so we only had from June 28th or 29th actually up until last week to be able to have those early tours. That doesn't mean that will be the end of any opportunities for engagement. Just wanted to have some early conversations to be able to begin to think about elements for the strategic plan. And these were publicized on the district website. The teams went through neighborhoods also, but we could have done a better job, and you're right, with making sure that our parent advisory board members and council members had that information. So I will get with the team to find out what the drop was there, but it was not intentional at all for us to leave anyone out. We broadcast and we knocked on doors and we shared that information.
And can I say too, Superintendent, everybody doesn't constantly look at the district's
website.
So when y'all keep saying we put it on the district website,
We
people
did.
don't look at that there.
Understood. We put it on the website, but it was also canvassed. So teams, I know Sheree Perry, Charlotte Sinclair went around and knocked on doors and also put flyers indoors. But we'll do a better job. What I'm hearing is that we need to just continue to improve our efforts, and we will.
We get a lot of robocalls. I'm sure we should have got a robocall about that. We had many robocalls.
That's great. And thank you very much. And yes, and those are all things that we can continue to utilize. But again, the effort will be The July meeting every year is.
But I'm just saying,
So-
that would have been the only catch that they could have done, you know. I mean, it would have been community as part of that. Yeah,
That could have been an opportunity as well. Thank you for those suggestions. Let me get through these, the next points, because I want to make sure that people are able to get their answers, who are waiting to hear the answers to their questions, but I do appreciate your input. So, curriculum suggestions, Mrs. Miller, who I'm not sure, we're excited about, yes, you're still here, yes, you are right there. We're excited about the Amistad training for our social studies teachers and what they have already undertaken, and we will definitely make sure that we are paying attention to those new guidelines and ensuring that they are embedded in our lesson plans as required. Mrs. Neal, Camden High School is working hard to set up curriculum that helps students succeed for 21st century careers. STEM and robotics labs will be introduced in partnership with Siemens and Pastor Keith Davis's Dream Center this year. So those are some of the ways that we are forging ahead to make sure that we're augmenting our STEM offerings. We know that we have a long way to go, but we are moving forward in that direction through those partnerships. Question came up about field trips. Board President Blackshear did ask a question. Wiggins is actually having field trips to both the Philadelphia Zoo and the New Jersey State Aquarium. In addition, with regard to nurses, again, as we said before, they attend field trips for students who require medical attention. Okay, so that is it. I thought I was frozen again, but that's it. Again, at any time, I know I may have missed a nuance or two there, but I am available definitely to have further conversation if necessary. As always, I may not be able to have that conversation at the end of this meeting, but I will set up time so that we're able to dialogue if necessary to go deeper. I thank you again, as always. I deliberately take time, painstaking effort to try to make sure that we are addressing questions, and we'll do a better job as I learn this role a little bit more in this acting capacity. But again, thank you, and at this time, I would like to turn the remainder of this meeting over to board members if there are any comments or other questions or concerns.
Pardon me, Mr. Combs. Who is the bond officer? Mr. Combs.
Are there any comments from any board members?
Thank you, Superintendent. I just want to acknowledge the comments from the community. We took them all in, but I wanted to specifically acknowledge the comments from two of the brothers from the call. I appreciate what you had to say, and one key point, Pastor Combs, that you made about a declaration that you made about not going after particularly an African-American female. I think, if I may add to that wonderful comment, that some of us should make that, and I know I will start first, an acclamation to black men as well, too. And so I just appreciate it, and appreciate your comments, and pleasure for all the community, and I just wanted to say thank you.
All right, if there are no other comments from board members, I'll turn it over to our board secretary, Anissa Coppin, to present the business office agenda items.
At this time, on behalf of the business office, I'd like to present the business office agenda items, which include the resolutions, financial report, and the dental list.
All right, thank you. And so in accordance with the powers vested in the State District Superintendent under Title 18A, I hereby approve today's superintendent's agenda items and business office agenda items.
At this time, I call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Muhammad and second by Mr. Vito Winner. All in favor? All opposed? The meeting is adjourned.